Coverage of the 2018 Commonwealth Games. Brought to you by Manx Radio and Manx Telecom.
And a very good morning to you in the Isle of Man. We're broadcasting live from the 2018 Commonwealth Games here in Australia, where it's another golden day on the Gold Coast for the Aussies after a 4-hour grueling race of attrition around Currumbin beachfront, which has just finished in the men's road race. Welcome to Today at the Games with myself, Chris Cave, and we'll be catching up with Joe Pack shortly. But first, let's start the programme with the women's road race, which started this morning. It was an early start for the women. 7:45 Aussie time they had to be up and racing, and what a day it was for the Isle of Man's Lizzie Holden. A top 20 finish for her. She came in 18th position, 1 minute and 14 seconds off the eventual winner. It was a thoroughly entertaining race. But as I say, she finished in the top 20, which she was beaming about afterwards, and only 1 minute and 14 seconds off the winner. Lizzie Holden, after more than 112 kilometres, physically, how are you holding up?
Pretty tired. It wasn't like, the race wasn't hard apart from the hills, obviously. So yeah, it was a shock, like it was just a hard effort from going slow. But I didn't feel too great. I thought I was a goner a few times, but I came back and yeah, it was a hard race.
Considering you've been training for weeks in incredibly hot weather, today was quite cool. Was that a shock to the system for you?
It's still quite humid, but it was nicer being cooler. Yeah, I liked it.
A lot of people think of cycling as an individual sport, but it's very much a team effort. We saw there with Australia, the New Zealanders and the Welsh as well. They had big teams in this race. Do you think that was of benefit?
Yeah, it was hard having two riders, and yeah, the Aussies did just like control it really, and Kiwis, but I think we did all right. And
of course you were riding with Anna Christian, Team Isle of Man captain. How was she for guidance for you?
She was really good in the race. We talked quite a lot, which is like makes you feel a lot better, like when your teammate's there. It just calms you down a bit, so that was really good. Yeah.
So what sort of conversations were you having with each other?
Just the usual, like bottles, like how you feeling, what's going on in the race and stuff like that. Yeah.
There were a lot of Manx flags out there. Did that give you a boost when you needed it?
Yeah, it was really good, and everyone was shouting Aussie, which I thought was Lizzie, so that was good.
And just finally, describe for everybody back home what this experience has been like for you.
It was really exciting, and there was a lot of crowds, which helps a lot. But yeah, I think it was an alright first Commonwealth Games.
You look at the ages of some of these cyclists, and they've got years on you. What are you looking at for the future now, building on this experience and maybe coming to the next games in Birmingham in 4 years' time?
Yeah, I think it gives me confidence, like knowing how young I am, but yeah, there's a lot of good riders, and I guess there's a lot of good younger ones coming up as well, but hopefully I'll be stronger at the next games and give it a better go.
A delighted and exhausted Lizzie Holden at the finish line here on Currumbin beachfront. And talking of Currumbin beachfront, Joe Pack is also here, and she's had a thoroughly entertaining day watching the men's road race.
Well, I am absolutely exhausted. I was sitting on the beachfront here at the Gold Coast and right in front of the lifeguard too. What a place to be coming live from on the radio. Yeah, absolutely. Watching the race was just spectacular, and seeing our team out there. Unfortunately for Sam Brand, he didn't have the best race. I know he had something to prove and he wanted to do his best, and he did do his best, but unfortunately it didn't go to plan, and I did ask Sam to tell me more. Sam Brand, just talk me through what's just happened.
I saw the race started really well. I mean, Bocky was off the front, he'd coming back, and then I was gone off the front, tried to get a breakaway, kind of came back into the field, shuffled around a bit, needed to be at the front for the first hill, which I knew, but it was just a touch of wheels, and someone came across me and it put me down, and I went down hard, but I mean, that's bike racing, it happens, and as gutted as I am now, the guys are still in, at least I could do something to help while I was in there. I obviously didn't get to show my potential and show me and be able to help the guys, which I'm pretty gutted about, but you know, as I say, these things happen, and I met some guy up there, and he switched bikes with me. Some guy from the spectators let me ride his bike for a few laps. So Ian, I need to go back up there and hopefully find my bike. But really nice. The crowds are great. It's just a great atmosphere. Shame I didn't fulfill my potential today, but let's hope the guys can bring it home.
Well, he certainly gave it all to try and get back in the race. And Chris, I know we were having a bit of a giggle. I mean, he took some bike off a spectator to ride. What do you make of that?
Well, he certainly knows how to endear himself to the Aussie public, because I know when he took the bike back, he was being bought beers and high-fiving the locals. So they're very much Sam Brand fans now, I think. Well, riding his own bike was Jake Kelly, and he was at the top of the Manx finishers, finishing in 32nd position.
Just finishing now the 168.3 kilometre road race, standing here with Jake Kelly. Jake, you've led practically from the start of the team. Just describe the race to me, how the conditions were and how you felt you got on.
The first few laps were flat out, quite hard. There was a few big moves rolling away, good riders, so I started rolling with them, even though I probably should have sat back. I didn't want to risk too big a group going, so I kept towards the front, and I think that kind of caught up with me towards the end. My legs cramped last time up the steep hill, just couldn't do anything.
Just describe the feeling of actually completing at the Commonwealth Games right now and standing here and knowing that you have again done that.
Yeah, it's great. Last time I competed I was a bit younger, so I didn't really have much of a chance of getting a result, but this time around it was nice going into it knowing that I could do something and get involved a bit more, especially with the team. We've got real strong lads, they've done a great job.
What was your personal game plan going into it?
I don't know, to be honest. I never really go that well in the heat, so wasn't too sure how I was going to go. I just wanted to stay at the front and keep myself within a position to get a result. So I hit that final hill towards the front, but just didn't have the legs to do anything.
How are your legs feeling right now?
So cramping up.
I'm going to let Wendy deal with them. So look at this. I'm just looking at Wendy there. She's wearing a Mark Cavendish mask, but it's good to see you at the end. Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Well, that was Jake Kelly. He finished in 32nd position, the highest of the Manx finishers. There were 6 involved, and Mark Cavendish was due to be involved in this race before he withdrew, and Matthew Bostock was named as his replacement yesterday afternoon. Unfortunately, he didn't finish the race. Of the finishers, we had Jake Kelly in 32nd, and then the Mazzoni brothers in 34 and 50. That was Leon and Thomas, respectively. And I believe, Joe Pack, you have one of those brothers in front of you right now. Or not, it doesn't seem. Well, Leon Mazzoni did finish in 34th place, and Joe did speak to him after the race.
Leon Mazzoni. Well, no one will be able to see this because it's radio, but you've got a little dirty face. That shows how hard you've just worked.
Yeah, full of salt. Really pleased with that ride. Team leaders today were Jake and Tom, so I was following the early moves with Bocky and Nathan and Sam. Fair play to Bocky, who's following a lot of moves early on, so he helped us a lot there.
Can I ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much you enjoyed it?
11. Absolutely loved it. Even though it was really grim, I just absolutely loved every minute of it.
What do you think of the result then, with Still Von Huff getting the gold and then Wales silver in South Africa and bronze?
Fair play to them, because it's absolutely brutal out there, but I couldn't have done any more. My legs just seized up on the last lap going up that steep climb, and just drove back to Jake's group on the descent, but absolutely love it.
Leon, what's going on in your head through 168.3 kilometres? How are you pushing those pedals so hard?
With this heat, you just got to stay hydrated, keep eating. You just got to save as much energy as possible. But you've got to be crazy to do this sport.
So tell me what you're going to go and do now.
Pack my bikes away. Yeah, but
long journey home, but how do you sum up the Commonwealth Games for you?
Absolutely phenomenal. Crowd out there, absolutely crazy.
Did you see all the Manx flags?
Flags out there as well. It was absolutely brilliant.
Any words for your mum and dad back home?
Thanks for staying up and watching.
And it is worth pointing out, I went round the course today whilst the men's road race was taking place, and the number of Manx flags, it was just unbelievable really. If you saw any of the race on the television screens back home in the Isle of Man, you may have seen them, you may have thought it was just the same stretch of road and the same flags over and over, but I can assure you there were a number, I would say at least 20 that I clocked going round the Currumbin beachfront course this afternoon. Well, if you want to find some exclusive content from the 2018 Commonwealth Games and you know where to go online to Facebook or Twitter or to the manxradio.com/portal where you can watch exclusive video updates. But right now we're going to find out where Joe Pack is, and we're going to go to some adverts.
Coverage of the 2018 Commonwealth Games. Brought to you by Manx Radio and Manx Telecom.
Welcome back to Today at the Games with myself, Chris Cave, and Joe Pack, who is missing it in action as it stands, but we'll carry on without her like consummate professionals that we are. Well, we've covered the men's road race and the women's road race, which have both taken place today. Also taking place today was the men's trap, the shooting. So far the only event, well it is the only event, all of the sporting action is over for the Isle of Man. The only to see of Tim Neal on Wednesday in the double trap. Well, today was the men's trap, and David Walton and Neil Parsons, both from Team Isle of Man, were vying to qualify for the finals this evening. Only the top 6 positions did qualify. David Walton registered a score of 109. He came in 20th position, and in 28th was Neil Parsons on 103. 6th position, which they were aiming for, he had a score of 117, so they were quite a way off. A disappointing day for David Walton and Neil Parsons at the range, but yesterday it was quite a good day for Rachel Glover.
What about today then? Because I think you've done quite well from what I see.
Yeah, 3P is actually my weaker event. I stood in the mixed zone and talked to some press yesterday after the prone match, and they were asking me about the 3P today, and I said, oh no, 3P tomorrow is my fun match. I'm not very good at 3P. And then I've gone and shot a 570 out of 600 and come 11th, and apparently it's the highest 3-positional rifle score that anybody from the Isle of Man has shot before, so at Commonwealth Games. So I'm a bit astounded.
That is absolutely brilliant, Rachel. Congratulations to you for that.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
With regards to the first person that you're telling that news about, who would it be?
It'd be my dad.
You've done him proud, you've done the Isle of Man proud, and you've got a lot of support back home. A lot of support is being given also to Tim for getting the silver medal and the celebration, and that is a member of your team that has got that, so you must be so proud of him.
Oh God, yeah. I was at the final yesterday, the shotgun final in the athletes seating, and I said to everybody afterwards, it's such a big confidence boost when somebody in your team gets a medal. It just really spurs you on to do well the next day, and it could be that in part that was to do with the prone and the 3P, that were just like, wow, somebody on our team got a medal, this is great, we can get medals too.
What do you feel about people talking about sport and shooting being in the Commonwealth Games, and a lot of people questioning why shooting is in the Commonwealth Games? What do you make of that?
I think it's an educational thing. I think lots of people don't really understand the sport. So obviously shooting is really split into 3 disciplines that are very, very distinct. It's almost like swimming and diving are not grouped together in events normally, but in shooting that's the equivalent of what's happening. So shotgun and rifle are quite different, and they're different again from pistol. And I think if people knew more about the sport and knew about the technicalities and how we have to be physically for that, I think they might see a little bit more into it. It's very easy to look at shooting and go, oh yeah, it's just people lying on the floor pointing at a gun at a black circle, but we have to have very low heart rates, we have to have low blood pressure. The way to do that is through cardio work and strength and conditioning. We have to still do the same kind of things that the runners and the gymnasts have to do. You have to be very flexible as well in the 3-positional event to be able to get into a very odd looking position and then be able to stay very, very still. So you have to have very good balance, and you have to be pinpoint still. You can't move at all. You can see your pulse in the rifle if you're good enough to stay still. So,
well, Rachel, congratulations on a Manx record. That is an outstanding achievement in itself, and for everything that you've done. I know your mum would be incredibly proud of you. As I said, the Isle of Man is delighted for the achievements already from the shooting team. What's next for you after the Games?
I'm hoping to go to a World Cup as part of the GB team next month in Munich, and hopefully if I can get a few more big scores in over the next couple of months, I'm going to try and get a place at the World Championships for Great Britain in September.
Good luck with that. Thank you, Rachel.
Well, brilliant. We're all delighted for Rachel Glover there. She did fantastically well at the Belmont shooting range yesterday. Unfortunately, it didn't go quite so well for David Walton and Neil Parsons in the men's trap today. As I said previously, they did fail to qualify for this evening's final, but shooting is the sport where the Isle of Man won its only medal at the 2018 Commonwealth Games. It came through Tim Neal in the men's double trap, a silver medal, and what a day that was. It got the Isle of Man on the board. Unfortunately, it was the only medal we've won at this Games, but what a fantastic achievement for him. It makes him the first ever Manx two-time Commonwealth Games champion. So fantastic for him. Back to the cycling then, because we've had both the women's and the men's road races today. We've had Lizzie Holden, Anna Christian in the women's, and then we've had Jake Kelly, Tom and Leon Mazzoni, Nathan Draper and Matthew Bostock in the men's road race. Unfortunately, some of the men who were vying to replace Cavendish in that men's squad were ultimately disappointed because it was Matthew Bostock who was selected. One of those who was overlooked was Matthew Draper, and Joe Pack spoke to him on the start line.
Now with Matthew Draper on the start line of the men's road race. Matthew, I've not caught up with you after being at the velodrome. First of all, an outstanding achievement to be here in Australia. I know that you're perhaps disappointed that you weren't selected to be part of this team. How are you feeling right now?
I'm obviously disappointed because there's nothing more special than pulling on an Isle of Man jersey. And to be racing in a field against guys with the quality that are in it is something special. But like the 6 boys that are in it deserve the place. They're there on merit. They know how to ride a bike race, and I've got so much faith in them. So I'm more than happy to be here, running water bottles, doing feed stations, taking bottles off them, handing jackets up, just do stuff like just the stuff that they need, because anything that you can do to make their lives easier, to help them win, that's what you've got to do. And so, you know, I've got every confidence in the boys that they can do a good job here. So let's see what the next 4 hours brings.
I'm feeling quite emotional right now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. The fact the music's playing in the background, and this is our last event apart from the shooting that's going on, and look at me, I'm a mess. It's the end for the Isle of Man team at the Commonwealth Games, and we're finishing it with the cycling. And I do understand that we've got Wilfie and of course Neil Parsons in Belmont Shooting Centre, but we're here at the cycling, we're hearing the music in the background, and the emotions are high.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm stood here at the moment at the finish line, just watching the boys go off, and I'm so like nervous for them, but I'm so excited. Obviously, you'd do anything to be on that start line, but you know, it's yeah. I've got so much faith in the boys, and I'm dead excited to watch it. So it's made strange actually being a spectator of a bike race. So takes all the pressure off a little bit because I only have to watch and get the feed stations right. But
I'm going to leave you to it. Thanks, Matthew. Thank you
Joe.
for your words.
And a day of mixed emotions really then for the cyclists. You had 3 did not finishes in the men's road race. They were Sam Brand, who actually grabbed a punter's bike to do a couple of laps, endearing himself to the Aussie public, so well done to him. And Nathan Draper and Matthew Bostock also failing to finish, but Jake Kelly in 32nd. We had Leon Mazzoni in 34th position and Thomas Mazzoni in 50th. I can let you know, the Manx public, that Joe Pack has been returned to me. She is sitting opposite me and she sends her best regards, but let's head to those headlines back in the Isle of Man at 8:30.